Good morning. Good
Good
morning.
morning. Good morning, B. How's it going?
It's going good. How you doing? Bright and
How you
early. Not bright
doing?
yet, but early. I'm good. I'm good.
Good. I'm
It
good.
is
I'm
Ramadan
good.
for me. It's my first day of Ramadan this year. So I am good, but I'm good and sleepy. Like I woke up minutes ago. Got my woke up, got our prayer, and I fell back asleep, boy. Ate some good food. I am good. I'm good. How you doing?
I am doing well. I feel much better today. Much
Good,
better.
good.
So got some rest. Ready for it. Let's do it. Let's jump into it so that we can make it happen. A good captain.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Well, guys, if you guys haven't been tuning in with us every single day, this is our 40th day, our 40th big 40 consecutive day of In This Season podcast, where we've been going through the book Daily Motivations by African American Success by Dennis Kimbro, best-selling author of Think and Grow Rich, A Black Choice. And every day we've been reading a passage out of this book, a passage of motivation, a passage of encouragement. Um, it's just been incredible. It's been following us around. It's something that has impacted my life, something that's changed kind of my awareness and intent of things. Every single day that I've been using it. It's like the titles, the passages that I'm reading have been timely, if that makes sense. So I hope the same thing goes for you guys. If you haven't gotten the book, please go ahead and get that book. Support this author as we read through this passage. Here that you're some benefit to him, as this book has been a benefit to us. So, Daily Motivations for African American Success will help you on the thoughts, attitudes, and deeds that will lead to the achievement of your true goals. In 365 short but powerful motivations, Dennis leads us to discover how to use the present moment and our own gifts to transcend goals, cultivate a positive attitude, become enough to know when to say yes and when to say no, and to look in answers to life's challenges. So each motivation begins with words of wisdom from such distinguished and celebrated Americans as Malcolm X, Miriam Wright Elderman, Whoopi Goldberg, Charlene Hunter Galt, Bill Cosby, Carl Rowan, Mother Hale, Reverend Sullivan, and hundreds others. So this treasure trove of practical inspiration will give you fresh encouragement every day of the year, but what it teaches you will last a lifetime. So again, guys, get this book. It's a book of affirmations, a book of daily motivations, and we're about to jump into March 7th. Thank y'all again so much for this. Like, come on, 40 days. How you feel about that? And that
Day,
it's been
day
40
40,
days.
Brandon. Day 40. That's an important number. Day 40.
I almost can't believe it. I'm like,
Yeah.
man, has it really been that many days? So I'm grateful, y'all. Um, right into it. March 11th goes the neighborhood. There goes the neighborhood. Let me make sure that we are live here on Instagram. That everybody's checking in. Mom, did you want to shout out anybody during the in the comments or anything like that before we start? I know we got Miss Brenda there. We got our day one.
Miss Brenda, Miss Brenda is in there. Yeah, thank you again, Miss Brenda. But what I'd like to do, if you want, and well, you know what? Let's not forget at the end to inform people about the event tomorrow
Okay.
morning that
Okay.
that they may be able to volunteer for, or the next one coming. Do that if you don't mind. Let's do that, and then again at the end. We want to just wait till the end to where people give people
Okay.
time to get in.
Yeah, I think we let's do
I
it at the
just
end.
don't
Just
want to
give people.
forget it today.
Okay. Cool. Cool. Sounds good. Sounds good.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll make sure to say that. Also,
Okay. Super.
Big Deal Brando on Instagram. Thank you for rocking in with us, man. You joined in on the chat. But again, March 11th, there goes the neighborhood. So our quote today is from Phyllis A. Wallace, first African American female to receive a doctorate in economics from Yale. And she says, the kind of ancestors we have as important as the kind of descendants our ancestors have. Wow. The kind of ancestors we have is not as important as the kind of descendant our ancestors had. Wow, interesting. And the passage goes as follows: one of the most important aspects of the study of achievement is training the eyes to see properly. Sight is an interesting phenomenon. We see things not are, but as we are. Our perception is shaped by past experiences, according to our faith and consciousness. In other words, seeing is not believing, but believing is seeing. We can only see there's what lies within ourselves. There's a story of a man who comes to the outskirts of town. There he finds a keeper sitting quietly. Traveler tells the gatekeeper he has just left his old town and that he's thinking of moving. What city like? He asks. What is it in the city you just left? Responds the gatekeeper. It was a lousy place. People were too friendly. The people weren't too friendly, he said. Well, that's just what you'll find here, explained the gatekeeper. The traveler moved on. A few hours later, another man with a suitcase arrived, seeking a home. What's this town like? The stranger asked. What's your old town like? The gatekeeper shot back. Oh, it was a nice place. The people were friendly and caring. I really hated to leave, but I was forced to take a new job. Well, that's what you'll find here, the gatekeeper continued, and the man happily entered the city. How we use the function of sight is crucial to our finding and receiving what we want out of life. Success and abundance are not given to a privileged few. Those who enjoy happiness do so because they have learned to see with their inner eye. So the affirmation for today that read 3 times, one for you, one for me, and one for the person that you are going to send this to. I will see the good in us because I will see the good in myself. I will see the good in others because I will see the good in myself. And last time, the affirmation for today: I will see the good in others because I will see in myself. And again, that's March 7th, and the title is Here Goes the Neighbor. What do you think of that one, Mom? I remembered this one from reading this one in past years. What did you think about this one?
You do remember it? You do remember reading it in past years?
Yep, I remember reading this in past
Can you hear
years.
me
This is
okay,
one of the
Brandon?
ones that.
Okay. Had,
Yeah,
because I
this
have
is
to
one of
put
the ones
the
that stuck out
titles
to me.
in. Yeah, it did to me, and it was hard not to read this one. Like, it really was hard not to read it. I thought, oh, I want to, because when I thought about There Goes the Neighborhood, well, looking at that title, I went back to something you said that I meant to address the other day, about me stopping at the store on Third, and you said, yeah, right, and on Third as well, where I had just had the conversation with my mom about me. Third doesn't bother me. I've never had an issue on Third Street. I have never had an issue if I so choose to stop at the store that I stopped at. And it wasn't because I don't go there, I feel some kind of way. It's just that I'd rather stop closer to where I was working and then just come on back, right? Come on and not have to stop once I
Right.
get in town. So I thought about that because so often, and I was telling my Third Street, I see it just like any other street. Anything can happen on Third, just like or in Collierville, in Lakeland, or anywhere. And I will often hear people associate fear with places, right? And it's because of what we are taught, what we see on the news and things like that. And even where I worked previously, I would have people come in and like they're trying to dodge crime as if crime doesn't happen where I am, right? Where they are trying to move to, because it does happen. So you have to be intentional. Again, there's that word about what you see. I always like to say, I want spiritual eyes, spiritual heart, spiritual ears, spiritual mindset, so that I can be led by and that I can, what was it? Feed off the spirit, feed from, feed off. So when you have those spiritual eyes, spiritual ears, not only do you have grace with yourself and things look different, right? But you have
Hmm.
that same grace for other people and for what you see. And you don't judge a community by a location. I remember the Avon. I had a lady. I don't know how I came about meeting her, but oh, what? No, it was a guy. It was a guy. He was like over this area of people who sold Avon, and he said he told the story about him having to go into what is called a low income area really well. Well, he expected to go in her house, and I'm gonna try to tell this exactly um, how I heard it. But he expected to go in her house, and it's not clean. Children are out of order. Her life is out of order, and he said it was everything but that. They ended up like being friends. I think when she passed away, he said I was the only white person there, and the family sat me on the front row because of how they bonded. But prior to going, he had to admit to his prejudice. Number one, before meeting her, number one, just based on the area that she lived in. And sometimes, y'all, that's all people can do. And your home
Yeah.
is your home, and it should not be. You should not be judged by its zip code, and we should not judge a zip code by one person. So that's what it made me think about Third Street when you said that the other day, because I wanted to make sure that people understood that I feel free and like, hey, what's up on Third? You know, I'm down with it. I've never had a problem on Third. I see the same thing on Third, fools flying in their cars, just like I see on Germantown Parkway, fools flying in their cars and on the interstate. So that's what I thought. Over to you.
Yeah. Thank you for that. Thank you. I appreciate that. And having had some time, since I remember this passage, to have had let it settle in. I agree with this passage, and I agree that you know, oftentimes the lens in which you see things has a direct impact on your experience. But at the same time, I do also understand that wearing rose-colored glasses in a war is is uh, is I would say irrational to a degree. Like there's a degree that you have to say, hey, I understand the position that I'm in, or I understand the things that happen here, because there are locations inside of Memphis. I mean, we have to admit that we live in the number one amount of homicides per capita out of any city. So I'm not saying that in wearing perspective and looking at things, the glass full, that at the same time you don't keep your head on, because that's just the reality of the situation. It doesn't mean that you can't make good out of it, or that there aren't good people there, or that there aren't blessings there. It's just that there are specific places, I think, that have more crime, and that's a statistical thing, and I think we have to address that. If we don't look at it in that reality, it's very hard to change that community, even if we do have our glasses. So I do think that there's a balance between the two. I think there's a balance between saying, like, no, I know everyone isn't like this. The same thing as if I think Malcolm X put it like, if I walk into a building full of snakes, and you tell me that just some of them are poisonous, it's hard for me to trust which one is poisonous and not. And I think that's the position that a lot of people kind of come in when they are in certain areas. But like you said, those same crimes can happen, in Germantown, like they happen in Westwood, which is kind of the area that we're talking about. um and there goes the neighborhood. Like there's something there's something that's called the broken window theory, right? Where if there are, and the broken window theory is like if a space like a home or a store is well kept, if it's clean, if it's well lit, if there's a lot of visibility from the inside to the outside, that these environmental factors have a direct relationship with the amount of crime that happens on that property. And so the same thing goes with neighborhoods. If you see a broken window in a house and that window isn't fixed for, 15, 20 days, and the house is open, it's more likely to be because of the physical condition of the house. The same way that, certain colors in rooms denote a certain experience, or certain sensory smells and aromas make you calm. Well, the same thing happens when you're around blighted structures, when you're around um, um, places that have not been well kept. And I understand reasons for that. I mean, going all the way back to redlining in African American communities, to economic hardships and lack of jobs and things like that are happening. It puts people in a position where they feel like they're surviving, and they don't have extra capital to keep up um, the housing. But the broken window theory is still has like some merit behind it. But at the same time, we can't get so lost in the broken window theory to where we give up the entirety of the community. So like I absolutely agree with the spirit of this passage, but I think at the same time have to have some groundedness, especially as I'll just speak as a man who is appointed and designated as the protector, right? That we must do what we can to put ourselves in the position, in the best circumstances. Like we said, you're the average of the top 5 people that you hang around. That has an impact on you. When I was young, I didn't really understand that. I think also we should choose the schools that our children go to. What's going on in that place? If it's run down, it doesn't mean that it doesn't have great teachers in there. It's just that it's more likely that there's a different type of experience there, unfortunately. So I want you guys think in the comments. Do you all think how much does your perception and by which you perceive the physical space around you or the community that you in, does that affect the outcomes, or does the community itself, regardless of how you see it, affect the outcomes more? I'd love to hear but that's kind of my take on it, Mom. I do think that the way you see a place impacts your experience. What are you gonna say?
Way you see it, and it goes back to this passage. Like, people with Cordova, I have to tell people I've never had one incident, and the police was actually riding by, right? And was able to take care of that situation. But of all the years, so I just and that's how I'm beating up on my mama this morning. But my windows up, like, you're there by yourself. Don't let your so be it. I refuse. I did that life. And so I just, I used to be so afraid of living alone and things like this. And so I broke free of that. Why? And I got to the point like, okay, I serve a mighty God. You come in here, you either going to leave out serving the same God, or they're going to take me out of here, or take whatever. But I'm not going to live in what I call home in fear, right? But I get what you're saying. We do have to be mindful and keep it real. But let's passage is about, like, when a black families start to move in neighborhoods go down. Like, that's one of the things that it's about. And if truth be told, y'all, let's keep it real, black, white, blue, green, whatever color you are, heard that, and if you've not intentionally let that simmer in your life, it's because you intentionally did not let it simmer in your life, right? If you're not taking on that perspective. Um, Whitehaven, beautiful homes, right?
Yeah.
Beautiful people. Zip code may not be for the right person, but we have to. So, like about the school, we won't let our children go to a school. What, I don't know your exact words, but we have a duty and responsibility to make sure that that school gets up to par, because some child does not. There's a child or children that don't have parents who have the ability to say, my child doesn't go here, right? Reminds me of the young man that I met that went to Ridgeway. Not my son by far. I go into Little Caesars right next to it, and as I do with most children, hey, how you doing? How you doing in school? What's going on? Da 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 da. While I'm waiting for my pizza. This was years and years and years ago. And this young man told me, I'm doing okay. I do have a class that I'm not doing so well in because I don't have my book. We don't have our books. And it's like months into the school year, right? And I'm like, you
Yeah.
don't have your book? What do you mean? And he said the teacher still holds us accountable for things that we can't learn, right? Not my son for sure. But you better believe the next day I was on the phone, and the next day after. Like, there's a young man that I met. Why doesn't he have a book? And this is how bad it is. This is how bad we are, right? We're thinking has nothing to do with us, right? I made enough calls to where I got to a person that said, what do you mean they don't have books? And I said, I'm telling you, they don't have books. I talked to the teacher. I talked to the principal. These kids don't have books. And the lady said, let me call you back. Let me get your number and I'm going to call you back. And her reason for that was she knew that the very books that the child didn't have was sitting in a warehouse. All they needed to be was ordered, a requisition for it. That's it. Have a D in that, but we know it should be. We have a duty to make it be, but not just for my child who don't walk through our door. For the mother, for the son, for the brother, we have a duty to speak up. So when we know that we see different because we see different, but we know it's different because someone else is not seeing and they don't care what they see. So I get this. There goes the neighborhood. You may be saying, there goes that person. See what you see supposed to do so that person has a different perspective. Because y'all, I've talked to kids, seen kids. I've had a child tell me, this is it. Where am I going? Who lived in the projects, or the lower income area, I like to say. Because I don't project in my day was family. It was unity. My aunt's mama could whoop just like my grandmama, because there was no poverty. They had faith. They had what they needed. So it wasn't poverty. The world has taught us to say, there goes the neighborhood. Because if there goes the neighborhood, let's bring the neighborhood back, which is what we need. So I agree. What you see is kind of like we attract. I so believe this. We see what we are, or something. It has something to do with us. I'm about internalizing everything, y'all. When I feel some kind of way, and I feel some kind of way every day, almost all day. It's just that I'm like, okay, I'm not giving you this power. I'm not giving you this power. Tell me why. Why? What's going on in you? What is it? And sometimes it's so little till they make me like, okay, what are you still trying to work through here? When I don't pick it up, when I don't pick somebody else's opinion or offense up, I don't have to wear it, but I do have to determine why. Why did that make you feel that way? Right? And I'm telling y'all, it's some small stuff. It's some stuff I have to still have to, I think about the refrigerator. I'm going to share that refrigerator story one day. I'm going to have to get permission to share it though. It's some small stuff, but it's about me. And sometimes I think God is letting you say and do these things so that I can continue to heal. Thank you for listening to God. You don't even
Yeah.
know He's using you, right?
Right.
I
Right.
just
Right.
play with myself like that. Okay, God, that's the only way I know how to. That's the only way I know how to. That's the only way.
Mm.
Oh, to you, Brandon, as I see it, 7:26.
All
We
right.
got
No, I
some
appreciate
comments
that.
if we want to,
I,
and check
yeah,
your.
bring those
Are
comments
you
up.
okay
Yeah.
putting it
My
on
yes.
Instagram?
Yep. It's working.
So, we spoke to Miss Brenda. Good morning, Dr. Hunt. And she says, "Don't." Let's put them in. Don't judge. Sorry, you guys. I clicked too many times here. Don't judge a community by its location. Amen, Tammy. Thank you for that, Dr. Hunt. When we engage in community, we can find treasures to clean up as well as great blessings. Um, she says Google, and that's interesting because this is where we will be tomorrow. Hopefully, I'll be able to make it just for about an hour. Google good things coming out of Orange Mountain community. That's where we will be tomorrow. Hopefully, you can join us, Dr. Hunt. Let's see. I'll get a few more out here. Yes, Brandon, how I see my community impacts me, but I have to take responsibility for doing my part. Yep, we're saying that for
Absolutely.
sure.
Yep. That's that balance.
Um,
Absolutely.
okay, so there we go. Yes, that I will never forget that young man, you guys. I will never forget that young man. All right, there you go, Brandon. Turning it over to you.
Yeah. I have a something that came to me while you were talking was the difference in the two men in the passage. The two traveling men. There was one traveler that said that when he was asked how was the place that you came from, the city that you came from, he said it was a lousy place and the people weren't too friendly. And so that was kind of a subjective thing. Like that was him really projecting, his inner experiences or just even his experience with people, one or few people on the whole city. So he said the people weren't too friendly. And I'm sure he didn't meet every single person in that city. And that was probably the reason that he was traveling. He was just, quote unquote, fed up with it, and he abandoned that community based on the lens and perspective that he viewed it. And that's a stark difference between the other traveler who said, it was a great community. The people were friendly. A lot of good things happened. Let's see what he said. He said it was a nice place. The people were friendly and caring. I really hated to leave, but I was forced to take a new job. So he left because he had a new opportunity, whereas the other person didn't speak anything to that light. So he moved because it seemed to be a path or a way for him to elevate, I guess, financially, or to fulfill the purpose or complete the job that he wanted to do, that he wanted to take, whereas the other person seemingly had no direction in where he was going. Like he was going wandering from a city to city looking for a good city, a city that was, quote unquote, um, considered to be a good city. So he was aimless. He didn't have a place to go to in particular, whereas the other guy was coming to that city in particular. And instead of passing the city by the word of the gatekeeper, or by the, being questioned by the gatekeeper, uh, he left, but the second guy actually stayed because he had a purpose there. So I think there's a big difference in those two perspectives. Find what is your purpose in the neighborhood. Are you there a job? Are you there to live? If you are there to live, then you do have a responsibility for that school. And if you have a job there, then you do have a responsibility to complete your job and do it well. Unlike the teacher or the administration that allowed that young man to go without a school book. So just because you don't live there, whatever function that you have in that community, do it to the best of your ability. And that's just a product of your integrity and your integrity as a person. So I think it goes both ways. It is 7:30 as of right now, so I hope y'all
So,
enjoyed
Brandon,
that passage again. Hmm?
right. I would like to just really quick, this last part here. Let's see. How we use the function of sight is critical to our
Mm,
finding and
mm,
receiving what we want out of life. Success, love, and abundance do, right? Those who enjoy happiness to see them, with their inner eye. And to me, that's that spiritual eye, like with their inner, because you will see people differently, right? You will see people in a different way. I remember she tried to see, I'm gonna say this in a way because without giving it away. So for me, she would try to see me, I'll use myself. If we had well, all my stuff, when I have all my stuff, which I still have all my stuff, right? It's probably about something that I've bought on into my adulthood that has been added on, right? So she said, when you try to see people where they got stuff, maybe that's a better way to say it. See people where they got stuck and they remain stuck in that area, right? That doesn't mean that they're stuck in all areas of their life. So when you can see just that little or the adult man as they continue to grow through what they've been stuck in, sight. I'll say that as we talk about using that inner eye. Our eyes has left marks, and the other person that you're dealing with may not know that. But once you decide to, as I mentioned earlier, to turn that thing inward, you can see, right? And if you start to see you, you can help other people see you, right? Inner eyes. So I'm going to challenge you guys today to have grace for people, but more importantly, have grace for yourself. I'm not beating myself up about the refrigerator story. I'm still trying to figure out why. Why did that offend you so much? Right? Because it's about me. It's not about the truth be told. It ain't your environment. Didn't it say that?
Mm-hmm.
It ain't your mama, your daddy, your brother, your sister, your husband, your wife, your children. You know, had the grandbabies. The structure. My grandson is totally different. The grandson. He's so different, y'all, than Dolly. The boy and the girl thing for sure. But they are different as night and day. I just look at him and he's like, man, I can't wait till you like 13. Because he is something else, you guys, in a great way. In a great way. But personality. So, but I don't want to shelter that. I don't want to eliminate that. I want to birth his personality because at age 3, I'm seeing it. So God gave that to him. So how can I help nurture it instead of watering it down? So instead of saying no, no, no all the time, I try to explain. Grandma, I love you. And I don't want you to be hurt. But every now and then he still tests it. He tests it. And then grandma have to be grandma in balance, right? So I'm challenging you guys to see people with your inner eye, but look in the mirror and see yourself. Go through the process. Grow through the process. All right, Brandon, over to you. It's 7:35. Let's do what we do.
All right, let's do what we do. Okay, it's time for us to wrap up, guys. We're rocking with us again on the 40th installment of the In This Season podcast with this mother-son duo, the Beautiful Butterfly, and myself, B, aka Brandon, aka the Gladiator Gator, if you into MMA. Again, we're reading through the Daily Motivations for African American Success, the book by best-selling author Dennis Kimbro. And today's passage was titled, There Goes the neighborhood. And we read an amazing passage about for individuals traveling through and to a city, and how their perspective impacts uh, how they experience the city that they came from and the they're going to. So take the responsibility that's necessary for your day, for your situation, for your community, and for where you stay. But also at the same time, keep that balance with understanding exactly where you are in the circumstances that are around you, that you can control and what you can't control, guys. But it is about that personal responsibility. So we close it today the same way that we close every single show, by reading the affirmation at the bottom of the passage 3 times. One for me,
Hey,
one for you, and one for the person you're going to send this to.
Brandon,
And what's up, mom? Have something? Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
don't forget, I don't know if you want to give out the information before you do the affirmation or after, to give out
Um,
the information about tomorrow. You want to do it before or after?
you know what I think we should do? I think let's leave it in as a
Drop it in
comment
the comments.
on this show. Let's drop that in the comments.
Okay.
Yeah. Um, just out of respect, because I do want to mention it on the show,
Okay.
but at the same time,
Will you be
we
able to
do
drop
have
it
to
in your
have some type
Instagram
of lens.
as well?
Yeah, yeah, we do have to
Okay.
keep some lens on who's signing up to volunteer. It's
Okay.
not just, it is kind of an invite thing, so I'm not going to drop it on everybody like that. But I think there's a volunteer opportunity that is going on tomorrow on Tuesday, March the 12th in Orange Mound. If you are interested in feeding 300 to 500 families, and you have time between 8:30 a.m. and 10:30, 8:30 a.m. to 10:30 a.m., please let us know. We will drop that in the comments on the Facebook Live and on the Instagram Live. So if y'all are interested in that, please let us know, and we'll get you there. We'll get you that information. But we're gonna read this affirmation and get on down out of here. So we're gonna read it 3 times, like I said, one for me, one for you, and one for the person that you're gonna or the person you're gonna bring to volunteer on tomorrow to feed these families in Orange Mound. The title was "There Goes the Neighborhood," and our Phyllis A. Wallace, the first African American female to receive a doctorate degree in economics from Yale, said the kind of ancestors we have is not as important as the kind of descendants our ancestors have, meaning how you are, who you are, what you do, what you produce, what your purpose is. And the affirmation today is, I will see the good in others because I will see the good in myself. That was number one. Number two, I will see the good in others because I will see the good in myself.
Yes, and others.
Now let that settle in. And for the
The
last and
good
final
in
time,
myself.
say it with your inner voice and see the word inner eye. I will see the good in
See.
others because I will see the good in myself. Y'all, so much for being here on the 40th day. And we will do this every day that we can. Ramadan Mubarak, or happy Ramadan to all the people that are celebrating Ramadan this year. And you're fasting, please pray for all people, all oppressed people across the world, all people who are going through something. Pray for yourselves, pray for your families. And let's make this world a better place by making ourselves better people in it. I love you guys. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mom. And we will be here right back, same time, same place tomorrow on In the Season podcast with me and the butterfly. Peace.